I said to her, why did you stay? Like, what was it? And she said to me, they grew up together. They were babies. My grandmothers knew each other. They were playing on the roof together at a year old. She said to me, Ree, I never forgot the innocence. I didn't want to upset her in any way, but there were some things that I needed to say that might have upset her. You know?
Like
not necessarily about him either. You know,
like about her.
Yeah.
Like not being heard. You know, like where were you? Why didn't you protect me? You know, and yet she did in a lot of ways. She really did in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But you know, like in one of the stories in my book, I'm in 4th grade. I'm walking home like I do every day, and the crossing guard was an old Italian, dirty man, and you know he decided he was going to put his hands on my chest. Which what did I have in 4th grade? But you know, and he was talking in Italian and kind of like rubbing me, and I went home hysterical, crying.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Hysterical. I was telling my mother what happened, and then the response I got was, okay, listen, you're not going to walk to school anymore. We're going to drive you, which I liked walking, you know? And we're not going to tell your father because she was afraid of what was going to happen to this old man. And it flipped me out. I was like, what do you mean? He hurt me, like he should be punished. Not thinking that he was going to get killed because I'm in 4th grade, right? I thought my dad would just give him a beating or something, you know? But Mom was afraid of that.
Sure.
And so we never told my father. So I felt like my voice was squashed.
Well, once again, that's something where control's being taken away from you.
Absolutely.
But like in the worst way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That explains a lot.
If you read the book, it'll explain a ton of things.
And we'll have the link to your book down in the description, by the way.
Yeah, great.
So people.
What's
the name?
What's the name of the book?
So it's The Godfather's Daughter, but the subtitle is An Unlikely Story of Love, Healing, and Redemption.
Love it.
Because that's what it became for me. It was like I needed to forgive all of it.
Yep.
In order to move on and heal and help others. I mean,
did you have like after you found out when you were 16? You know, obviously sometimes he'd be like, come on, we're going for a walk. And you'd have to hold him up, like you were saying, and stuff like that. And he knew you knew. Did you ever have...
Never.
No.
You don't even have to... Do we ever have a conversation about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's just, you know, when you look at somebody and they know you know and you know they know and that's it. Then it was just...
What's that like to carry that? Like, it's like the 500-pound elephant sitting on your forget being in the room. It's sitting on both of your chests.
Yeah, I can't. You know, after going through a lot of emotional, healing and you know, getting rid of a lot of baggage from this, I used to put myself in his shoes a lot and think to myself, oh my God, what? You know, who would want to live within a 4-block radius their whole life and not go anywhere or enjoy anything? You know, and especially with family, like very few things he enjoyed. He came out of character very few times, but when he did, it was so beautiful. He had the best smile. He could light up a room. You know what I mean? These are the things. And I think to myself, God, I wouldn't want to look over my shoulder for even 10 minutes, let alone what he did every day. So I started to humanize him. And that's how I was able to forgive him and my mother and everybody. Listen, I said to her, why did you stay? Like, what was it? And she said to me, they grew up together. They were babies. My grandmothers knew each other. They were playing on the roof together at a year old. She said to me, Ray, I never forgot the innocence.
Wow.
Whoa.
He was so innocent as a young kid.
That's the word she's using.
Yes. And
Amazing.
he was a good kid. You know, heavy set, always heavy set when he was young. They had their first kiss. They were 12.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
It's all she knew.
It's all she knew. And that's what she kept.
So obviously it's a lifelong relationship, very complicated one.
Yeah.
But, you know, he dies. She's obviously grieving about it and everything. But, you know, how long did she know, even if she didn't know who or what or where, how long?
After she got married, she knew. But
She knew that he
beforehand,
was
she
doing-
didn't know. And she didn't know everything. Right?
What did she think of that?
He didn't tell her.
But once she did know everything, did that change how she viewed your father? Was that after he died?
No. She never changed her. Never.
Was it after he died that she found out?
No, she knew. She knew before he died, but she knew. She only knew what she could handle in her head. She never talked about it, not even to her own family, and she was able to help her family with him. So so she knew, but it was never spoken about in that way. She was more afraid for his soul, like she was afraid for my soul because I was gay, than anything. She wanted to make sure he would not go to hell.
How did she express that to him, if she ever did to him or to you? How did that come across? Was religion a portion of her life?
Well, listen, the crazy part is when my brothers and sisters were born and they were old enough to recite the rosary, they would sit as a family and say the rosary every day.
Okay.
Now, unbeknownst to anybody, all the initials in our name spell out rosary. Okay? Roseanne, Olympia, Sal, Andrew, Rita, Yolanda. So my father goes,
this is a complex family.
Where am I in all of this? So my mother goes, you're the V for the 5 decades of the rosary. It's almost like he had to be a part of it, right? That was the part of him that you just had to love.
Yeah.
It was almost childlike.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, how the hell did I not get in there?
And he was very, very much like that with my grandmother. He loved her, would do anything for her. He was somewhat jealous of anybody else who came around, like the other brothers, when she would pay attention to them. So he was like a regular guy, like everybody else. It's just he wielded, a certain power about him, and he was able to keep his focus, and he could have been the CEO of any company in this world, but he chose that one. Now he would say...
Ain't that interesting?
Yeah, he would say to me, what's the difference between me and the government? And I would say, well, what do you mean? And he goes, doing exactly what they're doing. They're just not getting a piece of anything that I do. Mm-hmm. And he pays his taxes, right? Mm-hmm.
So he would speak in high-level terms with you, like
I would hear some things that he would be saying, and I would be like, wow, that's an interesting take on it. Because I often wonder, and people have asked me, like, if your dad was president, how do you think this country would be run? And I said, exactly. He would take the rules of that life and he would apply them, and you nobody would be doing the shit that they're doing. I don't know what else to say. That's
I think that's your next book.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
seriously.
Remember that stand-up bit, like, shortly after 9/11, the guy where he's talking about...
What's his name?
I forget the dude's name.
I know his name.
But he's like, listen, they're hunting this fucking Osama guy.
Yeah.
If we had 2 Italians from Jersey, let me tell you how this would go. Hey, Osama! knock, knock, knock. Hey, take a seat on that rock, will you? And then, boom! And I think about that sometimes, and I'm like, is he wrong?
It's about right.
Is he wrong?
It's about right.
There's not much difference, according to him, between the government and what he did. He just did it in a... Maybe even in a, how do I want to put it? In a way that makes people feel like the right thing got done instead of, at least people know where he stood, whereas they're all hiding, behind each other, going, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
You would know more than me even. But
I don't think it's like that. Sadly, I don't. When you look at the bureaucracy of the government, like all the agencies and everything put together, and it just takes a few bad people in certain places to make decisions.
Anything else.
Right? Like, I don't think the comparison is that far fetched. And also, I always cite this. When you go through Mafia history, you do see some people who were straight up fucking like gas pipe Picasso and guys like that who enjoyed it, right? There's a difference with guys like that.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a difference to me when I'm sitting across from a mobster who I know has whacked people in that life versus, and I haven't done this, but if I were sitting across from someone who killed their wife. There is a difference. And the difference to me is it's all wrong. You can't fucking do that. And when the government catches you, you get what you get. But, like, they know what life they signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
They know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You all agree. It's like this kind of sadistic game. Like you agree to be in this life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem. That's why when people complain about the government, the most complaints happen righteously when it's bleeding off into civilians and people who aren't the government, and people are getting killed in places that should never be killed.
Right.
Because it's like, wait a second, they're not in your world. If some spy kills another spy, hey, knock yourselves out. But like that's different right there. And by all accounts, your dad was very much in his life. That's what it was. He wasn't whacking, the guy around the corner for looking at him the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a difference.
Code of ethics. I mean, that's, they had a code, and he was the last of the Mohegans to abide by that code.
Yeah.
Probably so fair to say.
Yeah, it did start. It's nothing like.
No.
Yeah,
Well, Gotti's the guy that changed it.
He did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he did.
It's fair to say.
Yeah, I would say that's about right. I'm even thinking of the people I was involved with along the way. It just was who could get to the room first.
Yeah.
Who could tell me first.
Right.
And we use that.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I'd be like, hey, who we've got in the other rooms, right?
Right.
Go. And they were like, couldn't wait.
Yeah.
Even shit that I was like, oh, I didn't know that was you, but thank you.
Yeah. It amazes me to think that some of these people are still walking around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.